Alright, well, XLCH back in the garage. Just took this thing for a first little rip outside of the neighborhood. I don't have plates on it or anything, so didn't want to go too far, but did 2 good pulls up and down the road. Obviously, I have a whopping 8 minutes of run time on this motor, so it's not laying into it. But she is running like a top and pulling super, super hard. For a 900, it's way faster than the Blue 1000 over there. Should be good. A little bit of carb tuning to do. Initial reactions on the test ride. Normal, light cruise, perfect, flawless, no issues. Shifts perfectly. I'm amazed at how well this bike actually does shift. Easy to catch neutral, easy to shift through all the gears, didn't miss anything. The only issue I'm having, and this is a bolt-on Evo carb, untouched, untuned. If you look down here, your idle mix screw is right here. Still got the Welsh plug in it. This is a factory carb. I just plugged off the vacuum ports. Didn't jet anything, didn't do anything. Haven't pulled the plugs and looked at anything either. But under load, you roll into the throttle, it's fine to about halfway. If you go past half, it's got that initial stumble, so you kind of lay into it. And I don't have an air filter on here too, so if you lay into it real hard, it goes, if you keep it in, it sputters a couple times, and then it pulls super, super hard. So I just got to tune out that little mid-range spot, which isn't the easiest to do on these stupid butterfly carbs. They don't have the most adjustability with that, because I believe it runs through some side passages in between the main and the idle passage. I do want to put the Bendix on, and I got a buddy of mine that's got a factory leather diaphragm that's not too big like the V-twin repop crap, so might go back to a Bendix. Haven't fully decided yet, but quick little update. I'm super, super happy with it for how it's running. Fired it up today, fired in 2 kicks, cold from sitting overnight. And now it's just that kind of dialing it in and make it run perfect. It's about 90% there. It's completely rideable as is. You just got that little bit of sputter when you lay into the throttle that I don't like. I don't want to go too crazy until I put an air cleaner back on it, because that will richen it up a little bit. Feels to me like a quick little lean bog, and then it catches up and works, but I don't know for sure. I don't have enough seat time on it yet, but this will be going back and forth to the shop a bunch of times. It's about 6 minutes, so it's close enough where if anything breaks down or I have any problems, it's not that inconvenient. I'm like 20-minute walk if need be, if I gotta leave it on the side of the road and come grab the truck and trailer. So we'll be running this back and forth to the shop, just doing some tuning. Quick adjustment there on the way over, quick adjustment back on the way back. So that's where we're at on that one. I'm hoping to clear off the rest of the bench. Been a little delayed on making new videos because I have been so busy with everything else besides working on things in the garage. However, I did manage to get this XLCH out on the road the other day. Carb kind of has a little bit of a sputter. It's super close, but it is a generic bolt-on with no tuning whatsoever. Somebody in the comments just talked to me about this condenser plate from the XL points. I'm going to switch those back to just an OG mechanical set. Thank you for that, for letting me know, because I had no idea. When I looked at that XL plate, you are 100% correct in regards to the lack of hole drilling. If that is accurate, again, it's just something I've never used. I bought the XL kit instead of the regular kit. Normally I just run I typically buy a cheapo kit or the stainless advance. I've run them both. Stainless ones are expensive, but I've also sheared the roll pins. The roll pins, in my experience, are the weak point of the timing advances on Sportsters, Big Twins, doesn't matter. Let me see if I got one of those laying around here. Actually, I'll show you exactly what I've run into in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Points plate, the advances. Come on. Alright. Here's your advance. The issue you run into is either the springs breaking, these little posts wallowing out and picking up a ton of play. This is a brand new one. Or, in my experience, the roll pin. Actually, this is a perfect example. This is almost brand new. There's a roll pin. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera or not. There's a roll pin right there in front of my thumb, right underneath this post. That doesn't actually have any. It's sunk on this one. I've also had those shear off. I don't know if that's going to show up on the camera, but that's typically the weak point on these in my experience. You can get the Riveras or the Primos, and they have the stainless weights and stainless pins. Those tend to hold up a little bit better. But back to the XLCH, this thing ran like a top. I got no complaints other than it is leaking a ton of oil that I got to track down. A couple oil leaks on welded cases. Doesn't really bother me too much, but this one's leaving a pretty big puddle. I started trying to chase it down as best I could. There's a little bit of an oil leak right here on the top side of the pipe. There's definitely some oil coming from the kicker block off. Not much, but a little bit there. And then I realized I don't have a clamp on, not the return, but the vent back to the tank. So there's definitely some oil seepage coming from there. And under closer diagnosis, I think one of these oil lines kind of grazed the chain, which means that it's not leaking per se out of the chain, but it does have like a weep, if you will. And when it weeps out of the oil line, it's splashing on the chain and getting everywhere. So my whole back wheel is coated, chain is coated in oil, which is a good thing, but then we got a big mess of oil down here and underneath here. So basically, I'm gonna pop the rear exhaust off one more time. I'm gonna pop off the kicker cover, and then I can actually kind of take a look. I do have the stock Speedo drive in. It's not hooked up to a cable, so I'm wondering if there's a little bit of seepage from oil coming out the Speedo drive too, since I don't have the cable end mounted to it. It's just a, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that. There's the Speedo drive right there. It's wide open. That could be a pretty big source for that leak too. I don't really know. I thought it was going to be okay. I didn't think they were supposed to oil that much, but live and learn. But runs like a top, so that's good. A little bit of carb tuning if I'm going to keep that one on there. I still want to put the Bendix back on. It's just a learning experience right now on the kickstart with the points in there. If, like I said, the guy that informed me on this little blue thing being the condenser, apparently on the XL setup, you're not supposed to run condensers, so I'll throw a stock set of points in here just to get that straightened out and eliminate one more tuning variable before I start diving into the carbs. Make sure your ignition is done first. In my opinion, that works a lot better. Once the ignition is dialed and push rods and valve timing and cam timing are set, then you can start messing with carb tuning. As of right now, runs good. It's a little cold-blooded when it first fires up, where if you click the choke all the way off, it wants to die. If you leave the choke on, it's screaming at you, revving up like crazy. So like I said, it definitely needs some carb tuning, but once you actually get rolling, slight little bit of tuning on the transition circuit. That's kind of what we're looking at. So I apologize for the lack of videos this week. Hopefully I can get some more. We're going out of town down to Tennessee, not taking cool cars, not doing anything fun, just a nice little getaway, see some friends that moved away from this area and headed down south. So we're gonna go hang out with them. No dogs, nice, quick, easy. We're gonna take the Volvo, just finished doing an AC compressor on that. Ice cold now, yay. But man, do I not miss working on cars with a bunch of plastic and wires and all sorts of crap that is very easy to break. You gotta be real careful. Unlike my stuff where all that's in there is the essential running things. So quick little update for you. I think I got a couple more little clips of this thing running and idling and all that, so I'll loop those on the end of this. And when I get back from that trip, we're gonna dig into the oil leak. I might start messing around with that prior, but going out of town for a couple days means I have a ton of things to get done at the shop since I'll be gone, and people still want to pick up their parts. Apparently they're not cool with me having a vacation because they want their stuff. Whatever it may be. Then when we get back from Tennessee, we are full speed ahead on the Falcon. Rear end is on the ground over here. This I need to start gutting because I don't want to run, I think this is like 290, 285 gears or something, really low 270s, something along those lines. But I want to put some 411s in there, and then the transmission underneath here, this AOD needs to go on the bench, and this Bowman shift kit needs to go in there. And then I'm going to do a quick trans swap on the Falcon, unless I decide to put the 351 in. I don't have an intake for that yet. I do need a intake manifold. So just kind of pick and choosing what I want to do. I think I'm going to put the 411s in with the AOD down there and have an AOD that actually shifts. Got a new shifter in the box underneath the bench over here. All sorts of doodads and parts for the cars underneath there. And essentially try and get that laid out how it sits now. 389s, but with the overdrive gear that works. Fingers crossed that that trans works. I haven't actually run it, so could be shot too, and then it'll be a giant waste of time. If that's the case, then both will come out. I'll do a full rebuild on the other trans, and then when it goes back in, it will get the 351. But for right now, I kind of want to get the AOD working proper with a shifter that'll hit all the gears like it's supposed to. And then I got a set of long tubes up at the shop that need to go on there. Bring it out to the track and see what it does with a working transmission and a full exhaust, like actual long tubes instead of little shorties. Ran a 15.0 last year. That was my baseline, so whatever I can get under there, I'd like to kind of, for my own record, have a trial and error of long tubes went on and it did this, so maybe I'll do the long tubes first. Who knows? We'll see, but thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all those other fun things. Lots and lots of things coming your way, and it will start coming out quicker because I got a ton of time off coming up. So we'll catch you on the next one.